"You look too rich to be walking here alone," one of the men hissed, his shadow stretching long across the damp alley. The billionaire adjusted his coat, his silence sharper than any reply, but the glint in their eyes told him money wasn't the only thing they wanted. The second man cracked his knuckles, stepping closer while the third blocked the exit. The alley smelled of smoke and fear, and for the first time in years the billionaire felt truly cornered before the first fist could land. A thud echoed against the wall. A red rubber ball bounced once, then twice, rolling between the men's feet. All three turned confused, and there she was at the mouth of the alley, a girl no older than 12, braids flying wild, a defiant grin on her face. She picked up another ball from the net bag slung across her shoulder and called out, "You boys play dirty, I play better." The men laughed at first, dismissing her, but the billionaire's eyes stayed locked on her small frame. She wound her arm back with the precision of someone who had done this 1,000 times and hurled the ball so fast it smacked the first man square across the nose. He staggered back, cursing as blood spilled. The second man lunged toward her, but she already had another ball in hand, the rubber slicing through the air, hitting his ribs with a crack that made him stumble against the wall. The third man hesitated, unsure whether to fight a child or flee, but the look in her eyes wasn't childish at all. She bounced the last ball in her palm like a warning and said, "Try me and I'll aim higher." The silence that followed was heavier than the fight itself, and slowly, one by one, they backed away, dragging their pride and pain with them until the alley was empty. The billionaire stood frozen, still trying to make sense of the storm that had just passed. The girl walked up to him, calmly picked up her balls, and tucked them back into her bag. "You're welcome," she said simply, as if saving billionaires was just part of her evening routine. Then, without waiting for thanks, she turned to leave. But something in him, a man who hadn't spoken freely in years, found its way to the surface. "Wait," he called, his voice raw. "Don't go yet." The girl stopped, mid-step, her sneakers squeaking against the wet pavement. She turned slowly, one eyebrow raised like she was half amused, half annoyed. "You can talk after all," she said. Tossing the ball lightly in her hand, he nodded, still catching his breath. The words felt strange in his mouth, but he forced them out. "You could have been hurt." She shrugged. "I could have, but they could have too." Her calmness unsettled him more than the attack itself. She was too young to carry such fearlessness on her shoulders yet. She wore it like armor. The billionaire slipped a hand inside his coat, pulling out a thick wallet, but before he could speak, she raised her palm. "Don't insult me with money. You think I did that for cash?" He froze, her tone sharp enough to slice through his pride. Then her eyes softened as she hugged the net bag against her chest. "I did it because I hate bullies. Rich men, poor men, doesn't matter. People who think they can crush others just because they're bigger. Someone has to throw back." She spun the ball once in her fingers before tucking it away, like a soldier sheathing a weapon. The billionaire studied her in silence, the city lights spilling down the alley like broken stars. She reminded him of something he had long buried: courage. Unbought, unshaken, something no empire could buy. He took a step closer, lowering his voice. "You should not walk alone at night." Her smirk returned. "Neither should you." For the first time that evening, his lips curved into something faintly like a smile. Not forced, not polished for cameras, but real. The girl tilted her head, sizing him up. "So tell me, Mr. Billionaire, why does a man who could ride in limos wander alleys alone?" He opened his mouth, but the truth caught in his throat because the answer was not something he had shared with anyone, not even himself. His throat tightened, but the words slipped out quieter than the night air. Because silence follows me, even in the crowd. She blinked, surprised by his honesty, but didn't let him off.
So easy. Silence, huh? That's not silence. That's loneliness. And you don't fix that by walking alleys alone, he wanted to argue, but her gaze pinned him, still sharper than any boardroom opponent. She bounced the ball in her palm, again the sound
Echoing like a heartbeat. Then she asked a question no one had dared in years. "Who are you when nobody's watching?" His jaw clenched, the weight of her words pressing on secrets he had buried beneath wealth and headlines. He looked down at his shoes.
Unable to answer, the girl stepped closer, lowering her voice. I see a man with everything and nothing. That's worse than those three cowards back there. At least they knew what they wanted. You don't. She slipped the ball into her bag, slinging it
Over her shoulder as if ending the conversation. But something in him refused to let it go. He reached out lightly, touching her arm. "Please don't walk away." She studied his face for a long moment as if searching for cracks in the mask. Then finally, she said, "If you want me to stay, then prove you're more than your money." Her words cut deeper than any demand for gold because they asked for something he wasn't sure he still had. The air between them thickened heavy with unspoken truths. The billionaire for once found himself not in control, but at the edge of being taught by a girl half his age. He swallowed hard, realizing this alley meeting was no accident. It was the beginning of something that would force him to face the very silence he thought was unbreakable. He stood there in the alley, every word of hers circling in his chest like an echo he could not silence. For years, people had spoken to his wealth, to his name, but never to him. And now a girl with braids and a bag of rubber balls had stripped him down to the truth. He wanted to defend himself, to explain, but the words that came out were different, softer. "I don't even know who I am without it." The girl tilted her head, her voice calm but sharp. "You are the same man who thanked me without money. You are the man who smiled when you forgot to hide it." She tossed the ball once in the air, catching it easily. "You are more than your gold if you choose to be." The billionaire felt something shift inside a crack in the wall he had spent his life building. She was right, and that terrified him. From the far end of the alley, the three men reappeared, nursing their bruises, anger simmering in their eyes. But this time when they stepped closer, the billionaire moved first. He straightened his shoulders, his voice steady and strong. "Leave now, or you'll find out money isn't the only thing I have." They stopped, taken aback by the fire in his tone, the fire he himself had thought long gone. The girl stood at his side, bouncing, her ball ready but smiling wide because she knew he had found something more powerful than fear. The men cursed under their breath and disappeared into the night, leaving the alley empty again. The billionaire exhaled long and heavy, almost laughing at the strangeness of it all. He turned to the girl, gratitude heavy in his voice. "Thank you." She grinned. "Don't thank me yet, prove me right." Then she handed him the ball as if passing a torch. He looked down at it, simple, cheap, yet carrying more weight than anything he owned. That night, as they walked out of the alley, side by side, the city lights did not feel so cold anymore. For the first time in years, he felt less like a man chained to silence and more like someone who might still learn to throw back against the world.